The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning if you're in the far west. This is Gary and Tony Paquin. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon's investor update and investor briefing. We appreciate you joining us. So I've got on the phone with me my brother Tony, who is the co-founder of iRemedy Healthcare. So good afternoon again. This is Gary Paquin along with Tony. Tony, you can hear us okay?
I hear everybody just fine. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a webinar with iRemedy and an update for our investors.
On the top right-hand side of your screen, you could have a GoToMeeting panel. It has a little orange arrow on that. If you click the orange arrow, it'll move it off your screen. Conversely, if you click it, it'll move it back onto your screen. That'll give you the ability to ask a question. There's a little question panel as part of that, a questions tab as part of that GoToMeeting panel. So at the end of the webinar, which will be about 20 to 25 minutes, if you've got a question, please go to that section, type it in. I will be able to see that, and Tony and I will be able to cover that. So let's go ahead and get started. Once again, thank you for joining us. This is Gary and Tony Paquin. We're going to be talking about an introduction to iRemedy Healthcare. As our tagline says, smarter supplies saves lives. Our mission has been to deploy the first AI-driven medical supply marketplace that provides price management and transparency for the world's largest catalog, delivered by diversified global distributors and manufacturers. It's a big market. It's about a $500 billion market, over $1 trillion worldwide. And our platform offers better prices, better selection, and more reliable sourcing. And we'll get into some of those specifics to show you exactly what we're doing. And as many people on the call have personally experienced over the last couple of years, there's a grim reality in that global healthcare supply chains failed. And because of that, shortages continue and supply chain failures are exposed, and they continue as well. So I'm gonna let Tony talk to us a little bit about, number one, let's talk a little bit about what exactly is the healthcare supplies market?
Absolutely, and good afternoon, everybody. Happy to spend a little bit of time with you today. The medical supply market that iRemedy is focused on, and we're really focused on a subset of it here in the United States, and that is about a $100 billion market, where we supply medical supplies for hospitals, government agencies, surgery centers, doctors' offices, and consumers. Now, the industry for decades has had a problem with price fairness and price transparency. A way that we often describe it is, say, if you put 1,000 doctors in a room together and ask them what they paid for a particular medical supply, they would probably give you close to 1,000 different answers to that question. It's really an unfair system, and has really worked against the healthcare industry over the last couple of decades. There continues to be shortfalls. You know, we all became very hyper aware of shortages and problems in the healthcare supply chain during the pandemic a few years ago, but actually that has been a problem in healthcare for decades. It's an ongoing problem caused in many ways by the globalization of the medical supply chain, but also just the complexity and the inefficient distribution system that existed over the last 20 or 30 years. So what we have is an industry that has just multiple layers. There's manufacturers and import-export companies and logistics companies and distributors and dealers and logistics organizations. About 40% of the cost of healthcare medical supplies today is covered in these layers of cost of distributors, dealers, and group purchase organizations. So it's a very inefficient market, and that is why the costs are so high. Healthcare supplies are just very expensive and frankly, far more expensive than they need to be, and far more expensive than this country can afford going forward.
I've spent many years working in many different industries, and I'm sure many of the people on the call have as well, are very familiar with the banking industry and the manufacturing industry and automotive and everything else. And they've all had radical changes made over the last 20, 25 years, just-in-time inventory and more efficient systems and so forth, been able to lower those prices. But that's not true for healthcare. Healthcare is a highly, highly complicated market. And so it required a very radical solution to be able, as Tony said, get into this market that is very large, lacks price transparency and fairness, and bring a new model to this market. Tony, talk to us a little bit about healthcare supply chain dynamics.
So medical supplies in the United States are delivered through a very complex supply chain. About 90% of all medicines, medical devices, and medical supplies are manufactured overseas, typically in Asia, China, India, Vietnam, Malaysia, countries like that. And therefore, it's a complex system to get them here. So over the last decade, we've seen the demand for healthcare products skyrocket, increasing medicine and pharmaceutical solutions, biological solutions, cancer treating drugs, new medical devices, electronics, even home medical equipment have all just increased demand dramatically. The online B2B and B2C world, of course, is continuing to accelerate at record rates, but ultimately the supply chain, and particularly the back-end supply chain, from the OEMs, the manufacturers, the import-export people, logistics, and distributors, frankly, it's just failing. It just is not reliable. It isn't working. There was an article a couple of days ago about contaminated eye drops coming out of India and causing people in America to go blind. And that, is a horrible story, and it's very true, but it's an example of the kind of thing that is rampant in the medical supply chain today.
So it's a very, very big undertaking. In order to do that, we've brought together the best minds and scientists in the field. Tony, my brother, the CEO of the company, is a lifelong technologist. He's a noted healthcare consultant and author. Actually has a second book coming out, by the way. It's very interesting. I think I'm very much looking forward to the publication of that book this summer on supply chain dynamics in the United States and the threat that we face. Tony and I were the founders of Agency One AMS System. It was an insurance software company. We sold that to CNA. We grew that to be the largest software company in the insurance industry. In fact, it just sold again here a couple of years ago for $2.5 billion. So as I mentioned, Tony's got one book already published, another one coming out this summer. And also, Tony is the founder and CEO of Medinex. We did an IPO on the NASDAQ on that healthcare technology company. Jim Harding is our Chief Technology Officer. Jim is the former VP of Technology of Amazon. Actually, he joined Bezos back when they were an online bookstore. And Bezos said, I want to create a marketplace where we sell millions of products. How do we do that? And so Jim invented that, actually has a patent for that. He created two tech companies that both are sold to Amazon. He was the founder and chief technology officer for Multiscale Health Networks. It was a healthcare technology company in the EMR space. And he was the founder of Serverware, which later became part of Microsoft. I'd have to say that Jim is probably one of the most, if not the most brilliant mind that I've met in technology in my career, and probably one of the top data scientists in the country. So between Tony and Jim, they've created a technology platform that we're going to share with you right now that is truly revolutionary and is doing something that couldn't be done before. And it's able to be done now because of our very, very proprietary technology. Tony, talk to us a little bit about iRemedy, the hyper marketplace.
Yeah, so in many ways, you could say you have like a hyper complex market in healthcare. You have hundreds of thousands of products. We expect to have 1 million probably this year, for example. but they just become very complicated. Where are they from? What do they cost? How available are they? And this really complex availability and pricing structure that is unique to the healthcare industry became just phenomenally complex. I mean, billions of data points to try and manage, and those data points are changing real time, all day, every day. So I reached out to Jim, who had been a friend for many years, and I knew was really the global authority on all things marketplace. And we began to talk about how to solve the problem. Ultimately, we had to create some artificial intelligence. Jim and his engineering team actually created an AI language, which we then used to build out some artificial intelligence tools, which allow us to manage this highly complex world of medical supply. And we call that a hyper marketplace. We believe it's currently the world's largest online automatically maintained healthcare products catalog, with over 500,000 products available but growing on a regular basis. Our goal, as I mentioned, is to have 1 million products by the end of 2023. But we're also looking for that catalog not only to be the largest, most accurate in terms of availability, to manage all the complexity around pricing and group purchase organizations that's unique to healthcare, but also to make it the smartest catalog. So in some ways, long term, not only will we provide products, but we will provide information about those products. And hence, that's our tagline Gary mentioned at the beginning: smarter supply saves lives. And that's really our ultimate goal, is to have the most robust and intelligent healthcare medical supply chain.
So, and as Tony said, it is truly an amazing piece of technology and able to offer not only domestically, but ultimately we're looking at worldwide distribution of these products. So, Tony, talk to us a little bit about the artificial intelligence powered supply chain, exactly what that is.
Yeah, so what we attempted to do on this slide, and by the way, I'll mention coming up in the next week or two, we have a Tech Talk webinar that we're going to do with Jim, where we'll spend a half hour talking about the invention and the technology. So we'll be able to get into the nuts and bolts, if you will, of the AI engine. Very exciting stuff on that webinar in great detail. But today I'll just summarize it. I use these 6 boxes or icons to kind of outline that summary of the artificial intelligence powered supply chain system that we built with iRemedy. So the first is that we had to develop proprietary tools and processes to automatically build the marketplace. So catalog management is one of the great problems in the e-commerce world, and again, super complicated in healthcare because of the constant change that's happening, and also the need for perfection. If you have a supply chain or catalog error at Amazon, well, you might sell somebody a faulty pair of sunglasses or something. Who cares? I mean, that'd be unfortunate, but you'd refund their money. But in the medical world, we can't afford that. If we ship a product that is faulty, well, then there could be real damage done to somebody's health as a result. So accuracy and quality matter. And accuracy and quality, when you have billions of data points, gets very complex. So step one is we develop these AI tools to automatically pull in data, optimize data, and improve the quality of the catalog. And that's that second point, is these tools effectively turn the internet into a global products database, and we're able to automatically retrieve and optimize and maintain that data by connecting with various suppliers around the world. We also, as a result, are building what we consider to be, we refer to it as the UHMPC, the Universal Health and Medical Products Catalog. So our ultimate goal, in fact, is to have information on every healthcare product in the world. And it sounds like a lofty goal, but it's the kind of thing that you can accomplish with the new power of artificial intelligence that we're all beginning to read about every day. So we'll really have that catalog, that UHMPC, in two forms. One form is a subset of the total list, and those are items that are appropriate and legal for us to sell, here in the United States to our customers based on certain regulatory requirements. Does the customer have a DEA license, and is the item FDA approved, for example, if it were a particular drug? But the second version of the UHMPC will really be just for information purposes, and will be able to be used by procurement officers, hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, government agencies, universities, and others who just want to research about products that are available here and globally. As I mentioned, we currently have around 500,000 products. It changes every day. And because our bots, if you will, are all working the internet, and they're gathering this data, pulling together and improving on it. But then additionally, iRemedy has these agents, or these bots, if you will, that are working on replicating human behavior, and they do things like maintain pricing and availability. They also process orders, and they track orders, they track the supply chain, they monitor deliverability and all those things. They do all that automatically, and that gives us great scale. So we can, we may have a handful of employees. iRemedy today has around 20 people, less than 25, but we have thousands of agents, and we can scale that almost limitless. So that's how we build the business. And I guess that's the next point, is it's highly scalable, and it's an automated order capture, fulfillment, and management system. So whether we are processing 10 orders or 10,000 orders or 100,000 orders, it's really these agents that scale themselves up to process those orders and manage that supply chain.
So you think the benefit then out to literally the smallest doctor's office up to surgery centers, image centers, urgent care centers, labs, hospitals, and so forth, are able to take advantage of this in order to find the right supplies at the right place, at the right price, and have them delivered only because of this technology. Tony, I know we've been very involved, and you are running front and center. In fact, this has got a very good part of the book that you've got coming out is what's going on in the United States and the move to Made in USA and so forth. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, part of what has made our platform so attractive to the community of customers, and that includes the U.S. government, the Department of Defense, HHS, but also hospitals, doctors, surgery centers, and consumers, is this knowledge, again, this smarter supply, right? The fact that we know a lot about products. What we learned through all of that, which we all in the industry sort of knew, was that everything is pretty much made overseas today, mostly made in China. And this globalization of the supply chain has caused a lot of problems in healthcare and made us very vulnerable. And we experience it every day with regular products, maybe food products or paper products or other things that are made around the world. And the geopolitical world that we live in today, globalization can be a benefit, but it also can be a challenge and cause problems. The government, the United States government, and the United States healthcare industry collectively are very motivated to build, to reshore made in America manufacturing for the medical industry. In other words, to get pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and medical devices made here in the United States. With the high degree of automation, the great science coming out of the US, we can actually do that very profitably. And then you save, the geopolitical risk goes away, but also the logistics and the environmental issues of paying to have a freighter run around the world to deliver all these supplies. And there are tens of thousands of freighters out on the ocean every day. So iRemedy, we're known in the country, we're known in the government as being a leader in this discussion. It is, in fact, the book that I'm reading, which is a book on the globalization of the medical supply chain as a national defense issue. And we're really positioning iRemedy as a go-to-market solution for all of these new factories that are being built here in the United States. It is a great economic opportunity for us, and it's an important mission for us to be a part of as this part of the industry grows here domestically over the next 10 years.
Talk to us about, excuse me, Universal Health and Medical Products Catalog, some of the specifics as it relates to the technology and the deployment.
Yeah, so this is this idea that we use the UHMPC two different ways. One is as a directory of products, and the other is a marketplace where products can be purchased. In the simplest way to describe it, Jim does this very well, and he'll do this in our tech talk. You know, when you have Jim, you know, as part of your team, you got to remember he's the guy that built Amazon. So he understands Amazon extremely well. He's been a thought leader in the tech world all the way back to the beginning of Microsoft, where Jim was a key architect of the original operating system of Microsoft. He patented a database with Paul Allen. He knows this world very well. And ultimately, the best way to describe it is our goal as the UHMPC as a directory is for us to be a better medical product search engine than Google is today. Google really, when you search on something, just gives you a link to pages. It's not necessarily an intelligent solution. It's a solution driven by SEO and SEM. And that may not necessarily be the right answer to your question. So our goal is to use AI and other tools to build the most intelligent database of health and medical products in the world. That's the UHMPC directory. Now, as part of that, since we would then know every product in the world, we also want to sell a lot of those products and help those products get delivered to healthcare providers, government agencies, and consumers here in the United States. And that is then a subset of the greater catalog is the marketplace catalog, where we develop supply chain distribution solutions for those products to go to market. Because remember, the one thing in healthcare that's very important is you have to know the provenance of a product. You have to be able to track the source of that product all the way back to the manufacturing and know that it's controlled. So you've got quality every step of the way. It's another perfect way for our core technology to be used.
In summary, we believe that the UHMPC is the largest and smartest medical products catalog in the internet. As Tony said, is going to have a lot of importance worldwide, being able to find the right products, find where they're available, and deliver them to the intended audience at the right price. So a great deal of transparency. This technology was developed by the creator of Amazon's marketplace. And by the way, Jim believes that this technology surpasses that. Very, very proud of what has been created. 13 patents have been filed. 3 have already been issued, the core patents for this. So we're excited about the technology and what we're able to do there. As I mentioned, our team has got a successful track record of acquisitions and an IPO. Between Tony and Jim and myself, we've done a lot in that space. Our revenues exceeded 50 million in 2022. I believe our forecast is about 72 million or more for 2023. And it's early stage. You know, we're in this $100 billion market, and we see just, you know, a massive amount of upside, all the way from, you know, an individual or a consumer, a small doctor's office, all the way up to the largest healthcare systems, government, so forth. So it's an industry that certainly is one that is ready for change. Tony, is there any summary comments that you'd like to make? And then I'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, no, I think you hit on it very well. Even at 50 million, we're just in startup mode. We are a tiny company in a massive industry. I will say that right now today, we don't know of any other company that has built the AI approach, which by the way is protected by patents and other protections. But to the market. So we think we're in a very unique, highly proprietary space, and we're really just getting started on on this mission of developing the UHMPC. And as I mentioned, the go-to-market solution for the USA market, that's going to be very big, very profitable, and very critical part of what we do in the next 2 to 5 years.
So as I mentioned, if you open up that GoToMeeting panel with Laura and Jero, you can go down to questions and you can ask a question that'll pop up on my screen. We've got a couple that have already come in. Tony, the first one, does iRemedy have multiple warehouses? How do we supply products across the country?
Well, we do. We don't really want those though. So our model is to work with big logistics and distributors, drop ship providers. So the great majority, I'd have to pick a number, but it's like 90% plus of all of our orders flow through these logistics partners or through these distributors. We have a couple of warehouses run by logistic partners of ours or products in their warehouse. We have one warehouse of our own that we use to stage and repackage things in. But our primary business model is to not be in the logistics business, but to develop partnerships with major logistics providers like Medline, McKesson, Cardinal, UPS Health, FedEx, and so forth. And that's really the model. We're not here to build big logistics overhead. We don't think that's scalable. We're here to build data and technology and to drive transactions.
A great question. It just came in. Are you profitable yet? If not, when estimated?
No, we're not profitable. We've had EBITDA profit in years past. We are pouring a lot of money into technology development, and we've had some high financing costs. We are expecting those to go away, and we're forecasting profitability on both the cash and net operating basis for this year in 2023. But certainly in 2023, 2024, we will be profitable. It maybe has a little bit to do with how much we continue to invest in our technology, although we're going to begin to capitalize that. So I think the long and the short of it is we expect to be there this year.
Question just came in. When does this investment round end?
Well, this round actually runs for 12 months from the date it went live, which I believe was early February. So it actually is going to run, it could run that long, or until it sells out, or until we close it. I would say it's unlikely that we would leave it open until early 2024, because we're actually more interested in an IPO around that time. But that legally, that is the status of the form filed with the SEC.
Right, and so a lot of it will have to do with when this round is completed, which could be short, it could be earlier, it could be within that time frame as you described. And then, of course, we have the ability to close down at the appropriate time if there is the right moment to go public, or if there's an acquisition. So those two things, can certainly happen. And I see this is not a question, this is a statement. It says, best of luck to the team for strong growth ahead. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I think that's the last question and comment. So once again, thank you let's see. And another one said, thanks for having this update. Future updates will be appreciated. So we want to do that. We're going to do frequent broadcasts. We're out there now in the quasi-public market with this Reg A and crowdfunding. So we're going to be doing this more frequently. You're going to start seeing us, by the way, a lot on the internet, social media, so forth. The companies have become very visible prior to our planned public offering. So once again, thanks everybody. Appreciate you joining us today. And I'm always available. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. That's my direct number listed there, as well as my email address. Happy to schedule a call with anybody. So thanks again, Tony. Thank you for joining us, and everybody have a great spring day. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.